following is a special presentation. From the Captain eSports Network.
This isn't just a game. This is iRacing. Happy fall, y'all, as they like to say. Welcome in on this Monday evening, the first Monday of fall. And you would think for some, maybe down in the Gulf, no offense, Joey, it might be the first of, well, I know they had a small storm system a few weeks ago. I say small, 100 mile an hour. But from what I'm reading, it might be the beginning of the fun season for them. I hate to say that. Well, we're going to talk racing tonight, not hurricanes, as we get ready for race 25 of 26 in the regular season for Sim500's NCA11.org Cup Series, as we are at Bristol Motor Speedway. And it is going to be a hot one. It's going to be a wild one. And we are going to see some action just like we saw back in the spring race here. And I think we're going to be in line for some great racing this evening as we get you ready around this world's fastest half mile. One of like 3 tracks that claim that mantra, but we all know what Bristol's all about. The last great Coliseum. It is a track that just announced recently it's going to host a baseball game. It's already hosted a football game. And give it time, it might even host a WrestleMania one day. You never know. I'm just throwing that out there. We get ready to go for Bristol tonight as Kevin England joins me, the captain, in the booth as we get ready to go racing. Kevin, obviously, we come off a road course race last week that saw a little bit of drama, believe it or not. But needless to say, we come back here tonight to Bristol, a track that had some big-time drama back in the spring and is going to set people forward here tonight to make that march for the final position in the playoffs that start up here in just 2 weeks. But tonight might be that last curveball for those drivers to get in to the playoffs.
I liken this racetrack to, and I'm going to show my age, old-fashioned Batman cartoon. Pow, punch, bam, punch. There's a lot of action at this racetrack. If you're just looking at practice here as drivers trying to run the ragged edge of these high-banked concrete canyon, this place, I have to say, is a favorite. Just find the rhythm, find the groove, bang it off the wall. Very similar to the Lady in Black in that context, this racetrack. You could run the bottom, you could run the top. Sometimes you want to conserve the tires. Other times you just want to run wide open and put these guys on this little fighter jet racetrack. We're going to have a great show. We always do when we come to Bristol.
So are you playing Adam West or am I?
I think I'll be Adam West. I don't fit in the Boy Wonder costume.
All right, Burt Ward I am. All right, but no, that's an interesting reference. I started picturing I grew up watching that show, believe it or not, on TV, and not to show age here, but yeah, I was obviously a kid at that point, but those sound effects were awesome. But yeah, I mean, I think you've referenced it before too. You put a bunch of fighter jets into a bowl. There's that, I don't know if you see it too much anymore, but there's that motorcycle sport where they literally run through a little globe. And they're just running laps in the thing at like what looks like really fast. It's kind of what it looks like here tonight at Bristol, and that's what we're going to see. We've seen a lot of cars running the bottom portion of the track. We know the track's going to move up. The top side's going to come into play, and you're going to see some multi-groove racing here this evening before it's all said and done. Now let's look at the point standings, because I said this is going to separate the guys of who's going to get in and who doesn't. We look down here 20th. Of course, there's 4 drops incorporated already into these point standings. So Robert Fryer III has a 15-point lead over Andy Yoakum. It's easy for us to say right here, Kev, that All you need is 15 positions, you can get in. The problem is every time you get a better finish than your 4 worst finishes, it changes the points up because of the weeks that get dropped and stuff. So there's not an accurate position here, but what's the one thing you could probably do to help yourself? Go get a good finish in the race here this evening. So you look at Robert Fryery, 20th, Randy Oakham, 21st, Brian Wortman's right there, 22nd, Matt Rodolasso coming off a top 5 run last week at Bristol, or at Watkins Glen. And now I'm fact checking myself in my head. I don't think it was him. But Joey Jattina, 24th, Mark Jorgensen, who I think is officially eliminated. He's only made 19 starts. But he is right there in 25th. But you have to maintain within 4 starts of the number of races. So tonight's race 25 of the point standings, and as you see, Justin Mons is the only one who's made all 24 starts up here in the top 10. But 25, you got to have completed 21 races. So that's where you see Jorgensen, Stoney Benfield, Rod Mitten, Glenn Campbell. Those drivers officially eliminated on participation trophies here tonight. But needless to say, one other factor that we got to watch here tonight is going to be penalties, Kevin, because it is one pit road tonight. A pit road penalty under green is going to cost you at least 4 laps.
Yeah, this racetrack from a pit road standpoint is kind of one of those nightmarish things because you feel like you're going forever, and the pit road speed is 35 miles an hour. Most of the drivers have some sort of tone set that when they hit the limit, it beeps just to remind them, and you end up riding around the entire racetrack here with that thing beeping at you, giving you a headache. But you really need to be careful because you do not, it will be the end of your race. You do not want a penalty. And in the context of the points, Richard Beasley and a couple others, if they don't show up here tonight, are going to eliminate themselves. And you need a slide ruler sometimes in the middle of the season to figure out who is and who isn't going to get in. But I think at the end of the day, the drivers that show up come here to win. And I think this is like the track we saw last week.
Yeah.
Watkins Glen is one of those racetracks that you either love, hate, or just can never figure out. Very similar, this racetrack. Some drivers are comfortable and other drivers struggle. I don't know, from a struggle bus standpoint, how many cautions we're going to see. I think the cards say that if we can sort things out a little bit, we're really going to possibly see long green flag runs.
And I think that's a very good point to bring up here tonight. And also we should bring up qualifying is underway, presented by 811. Know it's below and call before you dig, as Mark Jorgensen of 14:55 has put him up there on the pole. But yeah, I mean, that's a fair point, Kevin. Green flag runs are entirely possible here tonight. And it's going to be okay if we get caution flags tonight. I mean, that's just the way Bristol presents itself. And it's an extreme wild card when it's over with. Checking out the qualifying record here at Bristol with all the tracks that have been ran here, Eric Arnold has missed it by 4/100ths of a second. He has beaten out every other lap at Bristol. There's 4 records here for the Bristol track for Summer to Legacy and the Gen 6 car. Next gen car, it is not even showing a record here at Bristol. So, or no, I'm sorry, it is Tyler Dalton, 14:52. So Eric Arnold has run the fastest lap in the next gen era here at Bristol right now at a 14:39. The track record is a 14:35. So just 4/100 somebody needs to get up there at the pole. You still got about half the field that has not ran a qualifying lap. Jorgensen, Donaldson there in second. Simley, Van Schaik, your top 5. Is this one of those qualifying runs? You just run the bottom, Kev?
Yeah, I think you really do run the bottom here with the tires at maximum grip. You're going to just try to get the car to come off the corner as best you can. Although, when you look at different drivers, some of them like to drive up and drive down.
Kevin King, 36.
Not on the bottom, by the way.
Kevin misses it by, he is off the track record by 4/1000ths of a second right now.
Yeah.
But Adam Gilliland, by the way, ran that lap back in 2019. Continue, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, most drivers are going to carve the bottom, but every once in a while, a driver just feels like they can plant the car and get it to rotate better through the middle, and dare I say, they can run up and bang the outside wall. We'll talk about the different driving lines as we as we see the race progress, especially with the tire wear here, which is rather unusual in the way that this track races.
Yeah, tire wear can definitely play a factor, especially in the long run of this race. 14:44 for Comstock. He is fifth. As we look at Chad Coleman here through 3 and 4, as he crosses the line, and Coleman goes fifth with a 14:34. Actually, a 43 with a 4, I should say. As he is currently fifth fastest. Kevin Brown is logged in 14th. Kevin Stone 22nd. Here is Tyler Dalton, who had the next gen qualifying record here until
Little loose up off the corner there for Tyler. The car stepped out. That's going to scrub a couple seconds off, or tenths.
well, that's why you let this first lap go and soak in as he crosses the line. And 10th fastest, 14:46. So he's already beaten his previous lap. Oh, and he's going to wreck it.
Yeah,
Off of turn 2, back end comes around. And that pretty much is going to lock in Kevin King to the pole here at Bristol, just short of the track record at a 14:36. And, Tyler was definitely trying to go for it there, but the car
He's
just kind of...
testing all the grip he could get and stepped over the bounds there.
Did
Did he aborted the run? He's going to come back out.
This should be a second lap, so I think he's done. We'll watch
Yeah.
and see, though.
He did come back out, which I...
He ran the first lap. He crossed the start-finish line.
Let's see what this nets, whether they give him a...
That would be very interesting on iRacing's part. Yeah, it didn't move him. So
Yeah, he's just started practice laps here, trying to figure out what he did wrong there.
So Kevin King wins the pole at a 14:36. And, of course, that pole presented by 811. No, it's below and call before you dig. We're going to go trackside for the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, back we are here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. National Anthem's over, and they're out there for the warm-up here for the 5-minute session. And they've started doing this again recently because the issues that iRacing's had with people getting kicked out of the room, basically, on that transition to the race or to the warm-up, so it gives them time to get back into the race here this evening. Kevin England, of course, tonight, this week was the Bristol 500, a race I finished second in 2 years ago. How did you fare out in the race?
I ran Thursday night, Saturday morning, and Sunday night. After being out in Long Island, New York all day, came home and I did the race, which I don't know what, 3-hour ride back with the shore people. Anyway, first race was not very productive. Got crashed 3 or 4 times. Second and third race just kind of paced myself. In the Sunday race, I finished 4th. And I passed the leader at the end, and I was riding in the back just trying to make sure that I didn't get my X up too high from being crashed by other people. and ended up getting lapped. And I ran the whole race 2 laps down. And right at the end, if I was on the lead lap, I was the fastest car. I passed everybody and got back to the back bumper of the leader and passed him with 3 to go. So I have a lot to say about racing this racetrack because after 1,500 laps, you learn the idiosyncrasies of this. And the first thing I'm going to say is I watch practice. It is slick as a button coming off of turn 3 and 4 down low. If you pick up the throttle too early, the car will step out. And I suspect if we're going to look for a trouble spot, it's right in that Geico restart zone for these drivers tonight.
Yeah, I think it's a fair way to put it. Obviously, good to see that you were able to complete laps there and get that 4th place finish. Congratulations. It's not easy because a lot of these wrecks are out of your control, and you just get involved in them here at this track. And I think we're going to see a fair share here this evening. Of course, this tonight being the 12th, 13th race here at this track. We've had 9 different winners in the series here, and this goes all the way back to 2018 with the Monday Night Money series that Parker Kligerman actually won, and 200 lap race there. Every race has been 200 laps except for the 2020 race. It was actually a 250 lap scheduled race, and then we actually dropped down to 180 the last couple of years before coming back to 200 here tonight. But the one thing I should say, cautions are a factor. Basically, when I look at the number, I see 3 out of those 12 races have had less than 10 cautions. So there's a chance that cautions are going to happen tonight. We're going to see the drama. We're going to see a Bristol race, basically, when it is all said and done here tonight. But, Kev, the question is there really a safe spot to put your car in to miss the wrecks?
The one thing that I would say that helps your percentage is if you restart on the inside. If you're on the outside, you come off the corner, you're kind of boxed in. And when you stand on the brakes to try and get the car stopped, everybody slides to the top in the crash and you end up hitting the outside barrier. So I like to be on the bottom. It gives you a little more of a escape route, but quite frankly, you hit it on the head. You're right on top of everybody else. Once the race gets a little pace to it, you can spread out. Then really your trouble is how well behaved is the car underneath you or you underneath the car when you're trying to do what you can, because it's so infuriating to run side by side with somebody for so many laps. Eventually you might lose your patience and push it too hard.
Yeah, you don't want to do that, as the cars are going to go to the grid here, and I'm going to post something over here in chat for those watching tonight. Might be something that becomes a topic here tonight. ARCA brakes. The new shirt on the Captain eSports Network website for you to check out. A modified version of ARCA, the best in brakes t-shirts here tonight. So we'll have to keep an eye and see who might pull that one off here tonight. But right now, let's go to the starting lineup here for the night race at Bristol. 2 races left before we hit the playoffs here in this series. And Kevin King wins another pole here tonight, 14:36. He will start alongside Eric Arnold. No, did you know, Mr. Kevin England? We have had over 30 starts on short tracks, and I say over 30 because I don't have an actual number. However, Scott Simley has got the most starts at the short tracks: the Bristol, Iowa, Nashville Fairgrounds, or Richmond. I put those 4 in this stat, and only 1 driver has multiple short track wins in this stat that is active in this series. His name is Kevin King up there at the front. So there's a chance we could have another winner tonight. Justin Mons starting on row number 2 alongside Mark Jorgensen Jr. Chad Coleman, the Atlanta winner, he'll start there in row number 3. And to his outside is David Comstock. Row 4, just making a fix on something there real quickly, Jason Karlovage and Wesley Donaldson. Scott Simley, Tyler Dalton there, row 5. Charles Van Schaik, the Michigan winner, and Doy Woods in the 12th position. Robert Fryer to 3rd, Glenn Campbell, row 7. Row 8, Kevin Brown, Patrick Colby. Randy Oakham, Mike Montesi, row 9. Row 10, Joey Jatina, Nelson Rivera, Bobby Wetzel, and Anthony Calantoni. Kevin Stone, Justin Fuller, who's usually pretty good on these short tracks. Not a good qualifying effort tonight. Ron Holyfield, Joseph Grajava, row 13. Row 14, Jose Medina and Jose Gonzalez. Kelly and Parker there in row 15. Sigmund, Wortman, Schrader, Livingston, and Murphy there in the 35 positions. 200 laps tonight with 3 sets of tires, 2 overtimes, and of course the iRacing default weather. As Kevin England, my man, bring him to the green flag.
Justin Mons, and Mark Jorgensen Jr. sit row 2, looking out the windshield at our front row. Kevin King and Eric Arnold getting ready to do 200 laps of battle. Pace car behind pit road. Green flag is out. They head to turn 1. The bottom line should have the advantage. King on the bottom surges up to the outside. He's going to have the lead as they're side by side for second.
Yeah, it's not surprisingly. You got to let these tires get up to temp here. You can't get very loose on low temperatures. Lap 1 already in the books. Kevin pulling away to about 0.6 of a second already in the battle for second is the 31 of Arnold going backwards here. Mons up to second. There's Chad Coleman moving up to third. He gets a little bobble. Justin Mons been picking. Oh, and then Jorgensen gets a little free. Saves it for now. Then he gets another roost from the 28. One car getting loose, and finally Mike Kelly goes around.
Yeah, caution here, lap 3 as Grajava gets tagged down there. There's a couple cars along the inside of the fence as Kelly stands on the gas. They're trying to get going so they don't get lapped as they sit there. These hits are brutal, Chris. You break toe links at this racetrack, and for these drivers, a little bit of damage. The cars are really sturdy, but you want to protect the 4 corners.
A wreck that started at the front finished at the back. Basically, that is called a huge checkup. As Mark Jorgensen already on pit road, let's see what happened as he went into the corner. Oh, he got tagged by the 60 of Jorgensen, or I'm sorry, of Karlovage. Then Colby gives him a bump in the rear, and then you look way back towards the back right there. The 24 gets into the 2, and it looked like the 18 got together with another car. And there's your caution. The world's largest chain reaction.
Well, why can't they stop? But they're standing on the brakes. The cars just slide like they're on ice on this surface, and you close your eyes and wait till you pile into it and just hope that you hit everybody square and can get out of it.
Very interesting. I'm going to have to see what happened to the 60 on entry there, because his car kind of darted to the right there a little bit. And Schrader to the wreck here, but let's watch this and go on board with Karlovage here. And watch his hands here.
Maybe he saw what was up front and thought something was going to happen, because it looked like the leader stepped out, or the way the leader came off was a little disconcerting.
Maybe trying to get to the top side too. Maybe thinking that was the faster way around and just mistimed the braking with Jorgensen. But either way, caution out here for the first time very early in this Bristol race, and looks like Medina going to take a wave around here as he got caught behind the pace car early in this race, but he'll be back on the lead lap as King leads Mons, who, you go back multiple races here, Justin Mons has just continued to get better and better and better here in the series. If just he could put the finishes together, he could be somebody to watch in the series. I'm actually going back to look, because if I remember correctly, did he not finish top 5 in this race back what feels like a year and a half ago?
A year ago, we were talking about the consistency and top performances of Tyler Dalton, and that translated this year to him being one of the, dare I say, top 5 cars here in the NC811 Cup Series. And this year, you're wondering who's going to be the Tyler Dalton of 2024, and I would vote for that number 41 right now. The speed that he's shown and the consistency as we roll through the summer and into fall has been pretty fast. That number 41 Ancient Gaming car sitting on the outside. Look, here he is sitting outside one of the best of Kevin King and holding court here at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Well, the great news is I fact-checked myself, and no, he did not. He actually finished down towards the back, but I just remember some reason seeing that 41 up front. But either way, good to see him up front. That Ancient World Gaming car, as you mentioned, as he's been out there kind of carrying the team here this last half of the season. But let's see if he can keep it going as King takes the bottom side again through the restart zone. Green flag back out. Ryan Murphy did not make the green flag, by the way, so 34 cars officially in the field. And Mark Jorgensen, for a second straight week, has taken his car behind the wall and will finish dead last.
Yeah, that is a brutal way, especially if you did preparation all week to come out and run just a handful of laps. Oh, that is so frustrating.
3 wide for second as Coleman gets
not
into
the more.
Mons. What in the world? That was unique.
Yeah, right here, you're looking for about 5 laps for the cars to get sorted out,
And
find their own pace.
Wesley went to the lead, oh, by the way.
Yeah, down underneath.
So Donaldson making that top line work here early as he climbed up there, was 3 wide, and then shot right around to 29 to take the lead early in this race. It's actually in action everywhere here to start this thing. It wouldn't be Bristol, I guess, for nothing, huh?
Sometimes when you run down in the corner, you don't have the security that you want, and you just ease off the throttle where the outside lane gets one of those runs and makes the run up off the corner, and then you just wait till your car settles in and you live to fight another day.
I'm waiting for the chat to start thinking, oh, we've already had more passes in this race than the Cup race. Waiting for that chat to get started here, but already seeing some.
Yeah, now look at the challenge, right?
Right, and here comes Kevin back to the outside lane as all of a sudden they're realizing, oh yeah, this is Bristol. The top line's the way to go. As King goes back to the lead, Mons continuing to fight with Eric Arnold, who was pretty fast in practice. See Doyle Woods back there in the 6th position himself with Tyler Dalton. Also there, David Comstock, Carl Lavage, Scott Simley is up, but Justin Mons playing ping pong off the wall as he gets to the outside of the 91 car.
Yeah, going back and just having that moment of where Kevin got passed by the 91 of West, I don't really know what happened there. He lost so much speed in that one corner that Wesley was a car length back, was able to draw alone and move past him for the lead. And, well, look,
There he goes.
look at that.
Mons to the front.
Now Mons to the front. He becomes our 3rd different leader here tonight on lap number 18.
Mons to the front, so it's almost like you're seeing some of these cars maybe go to the bottom, preserving tires, while the others are not afraid to get up top there and kind of be the aggressor here in this situation. But Mons to the front here, and you talked a little bit about tires during the pre-race here, Kev. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think the later this race goes, I would say if you get cautions after every 40 laps or so, I think that's when you're going to see the tire wear come into play, and you see pit stops maybe for people to take tires and see them roar through the field.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you wish you were in Back to the Future and could know what the future is going to hold as far as the cautions go, because you may want to keep a little bit of tire wear in check in case you get that long green flag run. If you do get a long run, you're going to need to protect that right front tire as the car just grinds on the racetrack going into the banking. There goes another pass for lead. Kevin King moves to the outside. They're door to door off of the corner on the backstretch as King surges ahead. He's going back to the point one more time. When you drive the car down from the banking, a lot of these drivers will lift almost at the start-finish line sometimes in order to slow the car down so that they don't grind the right front tire across the racetrack going into the banking under load.
Yeah, that's how you preserve your tires. The 2 cars that I'm thinking might not be so much preserving their tires, I'm watching them here in 7th and 8th. They're the 2 biggest movers, and they're kind of following each other through. LaRue, number 22 of Nelson Rivera, and Justin Fuller, of course, who has got a pretty good short track record himself, up 13 and 16 positions respectively, as Fuller's going to go past Nelson right now. That is for the 7th and 8th positions here. Those 2 cars are flying up here through the field. And speaking of LaRue, I saw the big announcement this past Thursday night that Sim500 is going to be hosting a GT3 series presented by LaRue on Thursday night. So pretty cool deal. I know Joey actually mentioned, he's like, hey, you want to come broadcast that? And I'm like, Joey, I got to tell you.
Yeah,
I do appreciate him coming off me, but it's going to be one that's really cool. GT3 cars, there's so many of them now. I think there's 9 that you can run, from Mustangs to the Porsches, of course, the Lamborghini Huracans and stuff. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to seeing how that schedule works out. Seeing how that goes. So, but if you want to be a part of that, go check out sim500.com, and you can race in that on Thursday nights. Josh Parker to 15th.
Quite a bit of drivers running side by side here. When you're on that bottom line and you're charging the car, you are putting a lot of stress on the tires as you try to hold the car down, where the outside lane you can tend to run. Drivers will go up, and we're going to start to see some, you can almost see it in the racetrack now, tire buildup in that high outside lane, especially in turn 1 and 2. You're going to see a black rim develop with these drivers running up there. It is one of those things where you pick your poison. Some drivers will say, look, the bottom's the lane, and others will go, I know, I'm going to be up on the top. And they're both right. You can make speed, as we see drivers on the bottom coming forward, drivers on the top. But I think in the end, as tire wear goes, and I think you mentioned it earlier, the top should be dominant.
Watching Wesley Donaldson from his rear, you saw Fuller go by there, and you see Carl Lavange making a pass, Comstock, and a whole train of cars. But the one thing, up caution going to come out as towards the back, Kevin Stone, Grijalva, Mike Montesi have spun around. And second caution here at lap 32. What we doing, Kev? What we doing?
Yeah, that's a $1 million question. They only have 4 sets of tires here, but at this point, tire wear has been pretty significant. So, also 2 tires are in the cards for tonight's race. So I don't want to be a crew chief on the box.
I'm staying out right now. I think we're
I
still
think I'm
too
going to
early.
save them.
Yeah, stay out here and let's see what we get. Jatina gets the wall, and right ahead of him, and then unfortunately just to check up the 18 into the 17, the 4. And that right there is
that's a pretty common event there.
King's coming in and bringing something with him.
One of the things that's unusual here is a lot of times when you single out, you can let the car run up out of the banking to the outside wall and then turn the car down in. And we've not seen that tonight. Most drivers are running the high line because they can't really turn the car up or down with the cars underneath them. They've basically been running parade lap style racing here. When it nets out a little bit on green flag, you'll see drivers diming corner and doing different lines, out high, in low, off high. That type of thing is, fuel for Mr. King.
Which isn't a bad idea here, because, I mean, who knows if this turns into a fuel race if you get cautions. But the one thing I want to show the viewers here, you talked about the way to drive through this corner. I'm going to show this wreck again, and I hate to pick on Joey here for a second, but I'm going to. This is something I used to do here a lot, and I had to learn that, you know what, just because you run the high line doesn't necessarily mean that you run the high line. And what I mean by that, let's watch Joey go into the corner here from the crash cam. You're going to see him just get in way too high, and the car is going to slide up the track with the speed and into the wall here. Watch, you see how low he entered there, and then middle he slides up, then back down. Watch here, way too high already, and there's a bump up there that causes the checkup. You want to enter this track from low to middle, and then you either stay low or you slide up high and then bring it back down. It's almost like another diamond, if you will, but in the middle to the top of the track.
Slide up.
Right.
And the markings on this racetrack
underrated
are just, you might as, they're like signposts to you. When you go down turn 1, there's a red line down on the bottom.
And to the top there, right to the right there.
Right when the red line starts, that's where you typically turn in. You could see the red line rimming the bottom of the fence in this shot. On the backstretch, there's a ZMAX logo. Right at the X of ZMAX is where you start to turn in. Drivers will turn in, maybe drag the brake a little bit till they get to the Great Coliseum. And then you lift, and when you do, you squeeze the throttle ever so slightly, because if you stand on it, the car will step out on you and drive up out of the corner. And it's really strange because you're trying to pick up the throttle in the middle of the corner and run from the middle of the corner to the center of the straightaway so you could let off and get the car to turn in as we go back to green without scrubbing the tires. It's such a strange way to run a racetrack, but it's all tied back to the banking.
As Chad Coleman leads them to the green through turn 3 and 4 already side by side for second. You see Arnold and Donaldson. But yeah, you bring up a great point there of how to run through these corners. And of course I had my way of running through here, and I was always good. Once I figured out how to race this track on iRacing, I was good on the long run here. And that was because I always ran at the time before the next gen car 16-to-1 ratio. Yes, I did. But I always made sure that I braked at the same point on the track and didn't gas until a certain point each corner. Lap 1 through 30, you blew my doors off. Lap 30 through 100, if we went green that long, you got passed by me like because I was coming back through the field. But that's
Tony steps out. He is absolutely sideways and somehow caught the car back there.
Campbell got the wall back here because of that. So the 44 gonna be okay though. He keeps it straight. You mentioned Kevin King and those guys took fuel only. Right now they are all the way back near the 25th position. So Kevin got to play the patient game now and try to stay out of trouble amongst those guys. But we did get some 4-tire stops in that bunch, and I think you're already seeing one come roaring up here through the field. Is up, Brandon and Q. He's going into the wall, and this might be big. And that was Jose Gonzalez I was just speaking of, who unfortunately is turned with Eric Arnold. Joey Gentina involved.
I think Joey is going to have one of those nights. It just seems to be the way it goes sometimes for certain drivers.
And the
sometimes through no fault of your own.
I was just literally starting to say how he was one of the biggest movers out of the cars with tires, and all of a sudden he was in the wall with the 31. Let's see what happened to the 26 to bring out the caution here. They come off the corner, and Jose come off the corner kind of low, and Eric slid up the track and there's nowhere to go. Wetzel gets damaged. Joy Woods with damage.
Yeah, I almost feel like the 31 came up into the 26 and wonder if he had just a little wiggle underneath and ended up chasing the race car.
I think that's fair. I mean, it's, but what, and at the same time, here's where I mentioned, watch the 26 come off the corner. And you're going to notice he leaves about a half a groove off the wall. And that's something that you sometimes surprise you.
Outside wall. Yeah. Watch the 31 right.
Oh, that's a bad view. Let's try that again. I have
right there.
I love the cameras, but sometimes I can't predict them. Let's go crash cam, a little bottom out there from the 26 through the corner. No, you bring up a good point. He does slide up.
Just a slight, like right here, little wiggle, and there he chased it up, and that little wiggle made him slide up just some, and unfortunately for the 26, he was tight on the door.
So second caution out. We got more cars on pit road, as most of them looks like getting damage fixed. Nobody out of the leaders so far, but hey, let's take a break real quick. Come back, get you more racing from Bristol as you're watching Sim500 on the Captain eSports Network.
This tree is going to look great here.
Did you call 811 to protect your underground utilities?
I can't wait to see these roses come up.
Dig, dig, dig! Wait, we forgot to call 811.
Before you dig, make sure you can. Call 811 to know what's below. It's up to all of us to protect the ones we love.
All right, back we are at Bristol Motor Speedway under the caution. A little contact between Eric Arnold and Jose Gonzalez, bringing out caution number 3 here. And appreciate the viewers who are hanging out here this evening in chat. Of course, one thing I should point out, again, if you haven't checked out the Captain eSports Network shop, you can do so down underneath the main screen. Click on the drop-down menu, and there's a link there for the shop. A couple new shirts being released yesterday. Some creative shirts, I guess, per se. They're not like the Captain eSports logo shirt. Just putting some iRacing terminologies out there on some t-shirts and stuff, and so on and so forth. So check those out if you can. And appreciate everybody for supporting the Captain and coming back and watching as always. But hit that subscribe button, get the notifications turned on if you're watching here tonight. 3 broadcasts in 4 days this week, and which should be a fun week of racing as always here. As we watch the base car, going to hang a left. Chad Coleman, the Atlanta winner, new Atlanta winner, leading the guy who won the old Atlanta race this season. As Wesley Knowles on the outside as we go back green here at lap 48.
Yeah, and we're starting to lose a couple cars to damage control. The 26, the 14, the 9, the 88 we talked about earlier. All 3 of the cars 26, 14, and 9 involved in that incident are on pit road here. That is just the way it bounces at Bristol. So if you get damage early, as yellow out,
I was just about to show Grijalva off the pace there. Now all of a sudden the yellow's out.
44.
And maybe Medina and and then the leaders. Kevin Brown just got hit, and I think the 38 of Coleman just hit the 44.
Oh yeah.
I definitely seen Kevin get hit. It is a self-cleaning track.
Yeah, that was kind of self-avoidance from the 44 trying to avoid someone else, and that just led to, I tell you, the uncertainty of the way the cars are coming up off the corner.
Oh, okay. Gonzalez was off the pace, and then it looks like Jatina and Medina get together, and then Campbell becomes an innocent bystander. And unfortunately, he's sitting in the middle of the track here, and here come the leaders. And there's the T-bone from Kevin to Brown.
Wow. Yeah, and you know, it's one of those things when you come around the corner, they don't call out. A lot of times what happens is it's called out car in turn one and where it's sitting. You know, for the 44, he's hoping that he holds the brake, the field goes by, and he's able to drive away, but unfortunately just the leaders did not know he was sitting there, which is an easy thing to do. It's just going to talk, Chris, about, you see there, the contact, and then the 24 was trying to take evasive action and got a little slippery. When you drive this racetrack, you're looking out the windshield, but when you get in the banking in the cars in that yaw, you're almost looking out what used to be in the old days, the wing window, up ahead around the racetrack. In that previous incident, the 12 of Scott Simley saw the incident breaking, and he hooked a left and went down. Good heads up racing. You have to drive as defensively as you can. As much offense that you have to drive with defense at this racetrack, because we said it in the get-go. It happens so quick here.
It is an unfortunate deal that happened there. And, of course, the question I have to ask, and I'm asking for the sake because I'm sure viewers are going to be thinking the same thing, did the 44 have enough time to get off the track before the field came around? I think that's a legit question to ask, but obviously we're not in that car, so we don't know. So to answer
when
that
you're
question,
in the car, you have to make a decision. Are you going to try and drive the car away, or are you going to tow? In that case, I think he was going to drive the car away. And you really want to take a 3 count, 1, 2, 3. Make sure all the cars pass before you release a brake and back down the racetrack. And I think he was still probably, realistically, in that 3 count when the field descended upon him, and unfortunately, like a swarm of locusts, they just popped him. You're in really just, it's just, here's the dynamic of it, which is really weird. Because of the previous incident, he was in the back of the pack. When you run the back of the pack, you're only about 4 seconds at speed ahead of the leaders who are behind you, 4 to 6 seconds. And if you have an incident occur, you use 2 to 3 of those seconds, and then you're sitting in a racetrack and the leaders are coming full bore on you.
Yeah, because 3 seconds here at this track is very quick, put it like that. But hey, green flag back out. Chad Coleman lead them through turn 1 and 2 as Wesley Donaldson putting the pressure on. You wonder how much damage Coleman has on the car. He did not come to pit road. Now Kevin Brown did. You wonder how that nose and how that engine's doing, because I mean he was a flat T-bone steak on that 44 car. But look who's up here to 3rd position. Remember the first caution? Mike Kelly was spun backwards, and here he is running up in P3 right now. Patrick Colby having a great run in the 5th position right now. Oh, contact.
Well, we see the answer for the 38. He's able to keep that car up there.
Caution.
And back to caution one more time.
Yep, caution out for the 5th time, I believe this is. And
The 8
Justin
sitting over there.
Mons. Yeah, Mons, the 8 of Yoakum, the 96 of Livingston. Involved in this one.
This is a blessing and a curse for some of these drivers. You see Kevin DeBrown, 2 pit road. went and got his damage fixed, and as he was coming back to the racetrack, this caution came out, and I don't know if he's in the lucky dog position or even if he lost a lap there, but you know, these quick cautions sometimes are a blessing for some of these drivers who found trouble. The time under caution at this racetrack is relatively small. You don't have a lot of time to sit there and get the car fixed and get back out and stay on the lead lap.
Let's see what happened here as we ride on board with Randy Oakham in the back, looks like towards the front of the field actually here. As you saw the battle up there for the lead. Oh, and maybe some net code there with the 8 and 41. Tyler Dalton, Kevin King gets turned by the 23. And does a 360, but he's got some heavy rear end damage. The 96, no, that was actually a bigger wreck than we thought.
Yeah, I didn't catch all those cars involved.
Let's make sure, let's verify this net code here. And see the 8 going to come up.
Down in that lower line. Swings up. Well, you see the 77. Yeah, that just did not play out very well.
Yeah, Van Schaik gets into King. Holyfield stops and then gets tagged at the end. And caution comes out again as Coleman continues
That's
to
a
lead.
good old-fashioned hoedown over there.
I would say there's definitely some cars involved there. If for those new joining us here, if you see that blue line down there in 3 and 4, that is sort of an invisible wall per se, I guess, when you look at it, because here at Bristol you got the setup on iRacing of 2 pit roads or 1 pit road, and they're running the 1 pit road, which is what you see in a cup race under caution. So you enter right here off turn 2, and you roll all the way through the back straightaway pits, and then you're going to see this blue line, which is pretty much a line that tells the drivers, don't go to the right of this, stay inside of this, and just get around right there, that blue line, all the way around to the front stretch pits, and you will not have any kind of penalty or something. So that's basically what that blue line is, in case you're curious of how iRacing operates with that whole thing. Hey, let's talk to said Atlanta winner here and see how the car feels after that, as Chad Coleman joins us. Chad, I know you're going back green real quickly, but car okay?
Yeah, I've been in an interesting race. I told Wesley right there, I'm pretty sure my tires were hot from having to miss the car that was sitting in the middle of the racetrack.
Right.
That scared the shit out of us. But yeah, we
Beep.
it's all right.
All right, man, good luck.
Heart rate's up. We're going green.
There we go. We'll let him
That's
go.
the soundbite that goes in for the promo for next year. And the heart rate does come up, right? When you're running this way, anything will happen, and it just did.
As Coleman leads Mike Kelly to the green, it scared the living crap out of him. That's a good way to put it. All right. As Kelly running second, Wesley Donaldson third, and then you see Comstock and Fuller. Fuller have been working his way up there through the field, but here comes Mike with that Speed Energy car to the front and bringing the, well, this is interesting colors, the Alabama colors up in the Tennessee area.
Mike Kelly becomes the 6th different leader, taking over the point here on lap number 65 as the field still stacked 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back to about the 20th position. You look at some of these drivers who were up front and have not been able to return, not seeing Kevin King make his progress through, or not seeing Josh Parker charge through the field at this point. I think at some juncture, Chris, you just have to be patient. And I talked about that infuriating experience of running underneath another car and passing him inch by inch by inch. That doesn't happen at any other racetrack, but here at Bristol, they're so even.
Nelson Rivera getting loose on the back stretch. He
inside
saved
wall.
it. Yep, he's okay. Unfortunate break there for the LaRue number 22 as Justin Fuller. Here comes the maybe arguably the short track king of this series, as he knows how to get around these short tracks. Just ran the fastest lap of the race and just took the lead at lap number 69. Of course, he did pit at lap 34 and took tires, so he has jumped up here. We do got still about 6 or 7 cars that are yet to pit in this race so far. Chad Coleman being one. And that 38 is starting to fall back here a little bit in this race. But the racing definitely getting intense here. 71 laps complete. Yeah, it makes you wonder when you might see these cars come to pit road for the first time, because fuel mileage, you don't have to worry about that. We're already past that window. So that window was pretty much past about lap 50. So you can go a long ways on a tank of fuel here at this track. As we watch Jason Karlovage work the bottom on Patrick Colby in that Roll Tide machine. Of course, I think the last time Alabama was up in Tennessee, it was not pretty for the boys in Crimson. As
I'll
Karlovage
tell you, when you get new tires, Chris, you feel like Superman. The car really plants in the corner. You can make the cuts to turn down the banking. You're not getting that slippery slide coming up out of the corner where you get a little pitch and you have to turn to the right to catch the car as it slings off the corner. And you feel really good when you're running against drivers who have even 5 to 10 laps on their tires. You are superior, and we're starting to see tires pay the advantage here. As I've got my eye on that 51 tonight. I think this is a Justin Fuller night.
Yeah, Fuller looks real good. Karlovage looking good now in the second position. Kelly holding strong there in third. Josh Parker from the back, 30th position. He is up 26 spots in that Frito-Lay's number 81, as he's now fourth. The battle for fifth here, as Wesley throws a little slider up on the 28 there and slides up to the fifth position. Here comes Calantoni. He's got tires, and he's probably feeling pretty good after his Gigante's got a victory over the Cleveland Browns. Oof.
Yeah. Rams won in overtime.
They did.
Almost overtime. Finally. I look at some of these cars and I wonder, are they pacing themselves, right? Because you could really burn your stuff up trying to charge through the field. And there are some cars sporting damage here that you wonder if they need a caution to go in and get some of that sheet metal straightened out to have a little more speed. You take some of these big hits, Chris, and you can also be down on engine power and RPMs at this racetrack, which ironically sometimes isn't a bad thing because you never slip coming up off the corner.
You can pretty much hold it wide open. Heading off the corner. As, Doy Wood's back here. Here's Scott Simley in that Heineken number 12 car. Mike Montesi there behind him. This is 11th, 12th, 13th positions here. But it's just a matter of, saving your tires. If you're back in this part of the field and you've already maybe changed the set of tires, you're just kind of pacing yourself. I think if you're someone who, sorry, just getting distracted here by something. If you're, out here on older tires, I think you're just trying to fight as much as you can to keep the track position, knowing that it could go away here at any minute. Battle for second as Josh Parker looks inside on Karlovage. Noticed if you're over in chat right now, I just noticed that it disconnected there for a second, so I thought I had lost the stream. I was like, no, but we're okay. Just chat going on for a second. So welcome back as we're green at lap 84 here.
Yeah, and it sure seems the top line has been the dominant role right now. So now we start to see that combination that I was talking about earlier, where the drivers are up on the top, they'll run behind the car in front of them, and if they want to execute the pass, sometimes they'll run up to the last Coliseum on either corner, turn the car down and try and get the run down the banking to draw alongside the car in front of them. But right now we're starting to see a little bit of a conveyor belt as everybody running side by side. Now look at that 91 trying to execute the pass, excruciating, trying to get by Doy Woods, and Doy Woods able to parlay that outside lane. Now he's going to run down the banking.
Yeah, Doy Woods taking the position away, and now there's Kevin King, who of course was a part of that last wreck, just got spun around there, trying to check up for the incident. You see a little bit of tail end damage, looks like maybe backed into a pole or something with that rear end sitting, but in all, a little damage collected from that wreck. He runs back in the 10th position I got him at right now. So, but Fuller right now not really blowing away. He's only 2/10 up on Karlovage. Parker trying to give Karlovage a run there for a second a minute ago, not able to get it. But the car I am watching, he's making some moves here. That's 31 of Eric Arnold. Is definitely showing he's got a pretty good North Carolina 811 number 31 car as he moves up into the 6th position here. As Eric pitted at lap 52. And as roared his way up through the field here, likely with a fresh set of fuel goods.
He's found a little something down on the bottom too. Everybody else carving the high side, and the 31 is letting off, rolling down to the apex of the corner and driving up out of the corner to the straightaway, doing a really good job at making time down there on the bottom.
We look back here, Wesley Donaldson, you mentioned kind of falling back. Simley and Montesi now starting to roar up here through the field, and I think now those guys who did not take tires are kind of paying for it, because they're looking at roughly, with 5 cautions, about 20 laps, we'll say, so about 70, we'll call it, 70 to 75 laps of green flag racing on these tires. So they're probably starting to scream at them a little bit here, like, all right, time to change me. So I would say in the next caution, you will probably see those cars that have not been on pit road yet come to pit road and get tires here. And the question is, can they hold the track position so that these other cars will have to come with them?
Yeah, and I think we're going to start to see these cars slip and slide on entry to the corner, slide up and do that Darlington stripe, right side bang off the wall. Most of the time you just pop the wall, and it almost sometimes helps turn the car going through as the 51 of Justin Fuller, your leader, moves around the 23 of Charles Van Schaik and starts to catch the back of the field.
Yeah, you always got to be careful of that, because some people will frown upon it. Some leagues will frown upon that little move if you do it a lot of times. But hey, I do want to send a shout out to the viewers watching here this evening. If you're new to the chat, make sure you hit that subscribe and also the notifications button. And thank you for being a part of the Captain Esports Network each and every week. And for those especially who have returned, we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us. We always ask, as always, make sure you hit that share button and share it out with your friends and family. Tell 2 people to tell 2 people so you can come hang out with Kevin and I and have a good time. Who knows? We might even give you a shout out. We might even send you a bowl of ice cream out of your own freezer. Who knows?
I like to go into chat and give him a boop.
A boop. There's a boop for you. Have a boop.
There you go.
I might have to make a Kevin England boop shirt.
Yeah, that would be great. Kevin moment. That's my beekeeper corner podcast where I lose my frame of concentration. And you know what? This is where I want to come back, Chris, to something we talked about. Look at the black line formed up on the top.
Yeah.
That's that line we were looking for, the deposit, and that helps the car when you roll up in there and you get into the tires deposited on the racetrack. Most of the drivers use that as a reference for how far you talked about it, you turn in a little shallow and you let the car run up, and you're using that line to determine how far did I drive in the corner.
Right there.
Did I really stick it?
Oh, 3 wide.
Ooh.
I clicked on the wrong one. There it is. That's gone now. Van Schaik was up there on the top side. He got too high into the corner, and right on cue, as you said that. One car slow on the bottom of the track, Joey Zatina, and the 14 is off the pace. And
yeah, Van Schaik's been popping the wall. He's trying to stay out of everybody's way, and he's running the extreme high line. And when you enter the corner up high, trying to make sure you stay up there, it's really easy. We saw it earlier with Joey. When you get in that light gray area, the car just does not turn, and you'll slide up and scrape the side of the wall, and sparks come off, and it looks rather dramatic.
as we watch Eric Arnold pass Anthony Calantoni here for the 4th position. King has moved up in the 3rd as he tries to chase Karlovaj down about a half-second back. But some great battles here throughout the field. Let's jump back here as Scott Simley and Tyler Dalton, who's having a struggle here tonight, been involved in some incidents. Tyler back here in the 18th position. I do have a, well, it's not a piece of audio, but I do have a quote from Tyler earlier that I overheard in chat when I got in there. His words were, "I am slow."
Wow. You don't hear that very often
No.
from Tyler Dalton.
So Dalton not been too fast here tonight as he runs right there in the 18th position. He's definitely showing, yeah, this car just does not have the speed here tonight. And it's not because of the driver. There must be something going on where the car just is not agreeing with what Tyler's getting the feel out of in these cars. Battle for second. Here comes King to the inside of Karlovaj. As Fuller's pulled away, 1.7 second lead now at 107 laps. Karlovaj.
Yeah, King
Go ahead.
going to work there on the bottom with Karlovaj just running. He knows he's down there, right? That's the funny
Right.
thing about it is, you know, the car is there.
He's just not able to slide up there. And Karlovaj doing a great job maintaining another driver that, when he's here, you could argue has a top 10 car almost every week. Runs up front and does a great job in that 60 car. And not to mention that Speedway Collective number 60 looking pretty good. And for those who don't know what that is actually a fantasy racing website. You can go and put a lineup together and stuff on that 60 car. So you can check out speedwaycollective.com, I believe is the website. As King completes the pass with help from the slow car Charles Van Schaik. So King up to second here as we have passed the halfway point, 100 laps complete. Well, now 111, so we got 89 laps to go. Let's step away, come back, get you more racing here on the Captain eSports Network.
When do you plan on putting in that new fence we've been talking about since last summer?
I guess I could start tomorrow.
Protect the ones you love and protect your buried utilities by contacting 811 before you dig, either by phone, the web, or the NC 811 app. Know what's below before you dig. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
Interesting. Back we are at the Bristol Motor Speedway as 114 laps, and of course Kevin England, myself, the captain here in the booth, and I was talking interesting was just we were talking shifting on the track, not hearing anybody really go from fourth to fifth gear, but you were talking about how some of these drivers could use fourth gear here.
Yeah, sometimes with tire wear, you don't want to charge the corner. And we talked about driving from the center of the corner to the start-finish line, or the equivalent of the backstretch. And you want to wind the car up off the corner without getting loose. You're going to put it in fourth. If you run fourth all the way down the backstretch, you'll eventually hit the rev limiter, and you're really not going to carry a lot of speed. But with a lot of tire wear where you really drop, some drivers, not a common thing, but some drivers do drop to fourth and find that they can find speed. And that's one of those like weird things about this racetrack, Chris, is that drivers do some really different things, and yet somehow they make speed no matter what their approach is. They can get very creative with a bunch of different options, as we're about to have a race for the lead right in the middle. A bunch of cars.
Yeah, King has reeled in Justin Fuller as we're watching the battle also at Montesi and Stone, but King within 0.2 of a second, of course, pitted at the lap 60 caution. Now we're running into a little conundrum here for some of these drivers. As a matter of fact, Charles Van Schaik's on pit road. Drivers like Mike Kelly, drivers like Chad Coleman, David Comstock, let's see, Robert Fryery, Scott Simley, Wesley Donaldson. All these cars have been lapped, and we've got a just massive traffic jam here. But these cars are going to have to come to pit road because their tires are pretty much done for, and they have not pitted all race. As Patrick Colby goes a lap down back there. So this long green flag run has definitely hurt those guys who have tried to play the long game in this first set of tires here. They're going to be on pit road, and when they do, they are going to lose a lot of laps. They need to stay out as long as they can go. As King going to take advantage of David Comstock's car and move to the front.
Like a pick. I think the spotter could have said something to Justin Fuller or lined up on the outside. It's going to be really difficult to pull in. And King's been running the bottom, which has the advantage. They're 3 wide right in front of him here. They're going to sort that out as Schrader drops back and yields, allows the 22 and the 38. Now Fuller is going to follow him down through because he sees the path, as Kevin will lead the way here.
Yeah, you see the cars that haven't pitted yet. I mean, Coleman right there, I mean, it looks like, you know, a car that's off the pace with damage or something, but it's just plain out of tires and has to come back to pit road here eventually. It's 3 wide back there off of 2. Who is that? These 3 cars right here. Comstock in the middle. That's the 8 of Yoakum up there. The 9 just had them 3 wide. They're still 3 deep back here.
This is caution central too, because you have cars that are running different lines, different pace, different tire wear, different. One of the things we didn't talk about is Mr. King pitted
there
on
it is. Priory gets turned. And a
lap
caution.
60. And he picked up fuel, which changes the balance of the car.
They were 3 wide off of the corner, and Yoakum and the 77 come together, and I was just watching the 28 on pit road. Patrick Colby going to be a victim of just roll down the track of the pit stops here. And there's the caution that kind of flips this race ahead. And We'll have to see who's going to be the lucky dog here, but I'm counting only 9 cars on the lead lap after that run.
Maybe Kevin Stone's going to pick it up?
It's going to be
in the
Stone,
17.
and Rivera, or Coleman, one of those 3, but let's see what happens here. As I was just talking about it, Jochen goes in there, hits the wall in turn 1. They come off the corner here. They're going to get Schrader 3 wide. And there's the contact, and we...
Excuse me, pardon me, coming through.
And that's going to bring the leaders to pit road, and this is what we talked about here. We haven't really seen this tonight because, you know, we haven't had a chance to show pit stops, but here is those... Basically, you look at them, they're entering turn 2 over here to the right. And most of these cars that started up front going to rotate all the way around turn 3 and 4. Kevin King's pit stall is literally right down here at the bottom of the screen. If I had a teleprompter, I'd show you.
Yeah, ironically, we started with the 29 and 31 on the front row, and as we are working lap 111, it's the 29 and the 31. 1, 2.
Kind of weird how that works out. Should be 4
Now,
times.
will drivers stay out in front of your lead cars in order to get a wave around and then hope for a quick caution?
Fuller wins the race off pit road. Actually, I'm seeing Kevin Stone, but he's coming to pit road right now. Fuller wins the race off pit road. I think, to answer your question, Kev, if they have not pitted yet, they have no choice but to pit here. So they're going to have to eat their lumps. But those who have pitted, I mean, you could chance it here and get a wave around here real quickly, as chances are cautions breed caution. Just had your longest green flag run of the night, and now you're sitting at 120, 130 laps. So you got 70 to go. You're going to need something to happen here if you're a lap down, so why not take the chance here? As King's still on pit road, I think he's getting damage fixed in his 29 car. As a matter of fact, he's been on pit road for a minute here, so I'm not sure what's going on. As finally leaves pit road, I think he's going to be a lap down now.
Yeah. Well, he was ahead of so many drivers that, yeah, I agree with you. 1 lap down. I'm
Wow.
not sure what that would be.
He must have had some kind of issue with his car, or maybe had some required damage that we didn't see. Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I say wow. That's one that we might want to follow up on and see what that was about.
I've got to check my telemetry here, but I have one car that is not pitted yet staying out. And that is Scott Simley here in the 12. Now, again,
Simley,
it
yeah.
is showing that he has not been on pit road yet. And I don't know if that's confirmed. But, you know, sometimes telemetry is not auto when it comes to correct. Hey, Kevin, you want to know why they call this Thunder Valley?
Why?
Because the track's in a valley and the cars sound like thunder.
Oh,
Right.
That's a good name.
You know a good way. You know a good way to make it really sound like thunder.
Crank it up.
Turning your cameras up, or turning your speakers up, whatever they're called. Here we go. right, so as you see, 140 laps in the books as Justin Fuller been the guy dominating up here at the front. Doy Woods now up to the second position, and that double zero car, Mike Kelly up to third. Car Levon, Josh Parker up there in the fifth position. We have 10 cars on the lead lap, and I'm still checking to see if Scott Simley's been to pit road at all tonight, but he is quickly about to go a lap down. I mean, he was trying the ultimate Hail Mary move here.
I tell you, we have 12 cars off the pace from attrition too, which gives a little more space to race for these guys. And the likelihood after we get past about 5 or 6 laps after that restart of staying green is pretty high. And the story here is that 29 service has put Kevin 1 lap down. We wondered if Kevin was going to ride around in the back or try to get his lap back the old-fashioned way. And right now he sits about in the 8th or 9th slot on the racetrack, and I just think that's too much of a stretch. And right now, sitting here at lap 143, these laps go by so fast, Chris. We're going to be done in a blink of an eye here.
Yeah, we run, what, 15-second laps? So you do the math, that's 4 laps a minute. So, I mean, 65 laps, divide that by 4. It's somewhere with the 16.
Here we go, slide rule again.
16, I think is the number there. So 16 minutes, we're done with this race. It's going to fly by that quick. Simley did go a lap down, and oh, by the way, he's not even the first car lap down already. He's just getting freight trained with the old tires. So, I mean, credit for trying, but that's all I'm going to say to that one.
Sometimes you're the bug. Sometimes you're the windshield. I'm looking at this top 5 right now. I'm wondering, who's the driver sitting back there waiting? And Mike Kelly's been sitting there in third, just kind of pacing himself. I know Doy Wood would love to get himself a win. Josh Parker's car looks fast, but it also looks really nervous.
Well, I think all the cars are kind of nervous, but you get those guys that drive it off the right rear. They're the ones that are really nervous. But I agree 100%. Mike Kelly, I think, is your guy. As they're 3 wide here off of the corner. Kelly's just running a smooth race. That's what he does. The veteran, future Hall of Famer here in Sim500, announced in this year's class, looking to go to victory lane here in the Cup Series, as he's had arguably, I know he's a former champion in this series, not in the Cup Series, but he's won a Sim500 championship. He was a part of the Coke Series back in their first seasons, but I could argue that, you know, just from looking at numbers in the couple seasons I've been around, that Kelly could be having a career year this year.
Yeah. I'll tell you, drivers having a nice run has not made a peep tonight, but sitting in the top 20 is Ron Hollifield in that number 21 car, the NC811.org. It's got the number 11 paint scheme on it here tonight, but you know, having a pretty decent run. Ron just came back to us after an extended leave, and for him to come back and just put in some laps and have a clean race, that's a pretty good accomplishment for anybody running in this series.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into detail, obviously, but Ron's been going through some personal things I've been seeing, and just all the best to him and his situation and stuff, but definitely good to see him here and hanging out with his friends. That's definitely what he needs right now. So as the battle on for 4th, as Parker all of a sudden just loses it and he just kind of backs off and lets a couple cars go by there, and Coleman, I think, is going to let him slide up in line here back to the 6th position. So Josh, unfortunately, maybe got those tires a little too hot and just decided, you know what, probably not smart to be down here right now.
Yeah, reset. Every once in a while, you just lose the mental fortitude to be able to charge the track, and you turn and say to yourself, what am I doing?
Right.
You push the reset button, you go back up, you ride for a couple laps, and then when the car comes back to you, you mash the gas again and go back at it. And right now, I think he just needed to settle in. That car looked, like I said, too nervous to me in how he was hustling it up off the corner, and I think at some point he just
caution
threw the towel. Yellow. Yeah, and there's that yellow that Mr. King was waiting for.
Kevin Stone, it looks like, has got some issues as he was running in the 9th position here, and unfortunately Scott Simley has not only lost 1 lap, he's lost a 2nd lap. But the good news is he will probably be able to bring his 4 rims to pit road. You know there ain't no tires left on that thing.
Yeah, he's in Brian Wertman Road. He's going to have an extra set or 2. to take home to the fans or something.
He'll be like most of the Cup teams that have those lug nuts sitting in their team store that you can either purchase or they'll just give to you. Let's see what happens. Oh, Kevin just gets loose, and then Holyfield sends him.
Yeah, Jenks on a Coke, apparently. I'm not supposed to talk about these, folks. It's two NC811 cars make contact, but this is that commentary. The Geico restart zone is really loose, and that's where you expect the drivers to chase the car, but Kevin had his challenges over on the other side of the racetrack.
Yeah, this one's interesting. It looked like he just lost the car kind of at the last minute there. It slides up the track, and then right there just kind of snaps on him or something.
Yeah, it almost looked like he was trying to pull it down.
So, caution out. We got some cars coming to pit road and some not. Here up in the front.
Use them if you got them. I mean, this is where the drivers who have saved all race long that have not shown us a lot of speed. You know, maybe that's the case with the 81, for example, is that he was running on older tires. But as we get to these couple sprint races at the end, you're going to see drivers go 4 tires and they're going to light up and come to the front.
This is a part of the race, Kev, with so less cars on pit road or on the lead lap here. I think this is the part of the race where if I've just pitted back at lap 129 at the last caution, come in and take 2 tires here. Because, I mean, at least now you've got 2 freshies that you can stick your car up there in that outside lane to work with. Yeah, your car's going to be a little loose, but you got 40 laps. That sounds like a long time, but it's not around Bristol.
Yeah, track position's a little bit of a challenge, though, right? You want to be careful not to get yourself buried where you're going to burn the goodie off of those tires just trying to get yourself back to the front.
So what's the worst you do? Finish 12th.
38 looks like he's going to get a wave around here, and that'll put Chad Coleman back in the stack of the lead lap cars.
Yeah, Mike Montesi. And how about Doug Sigmund, 13th position for the 04. He's kept it clean. He's going to be back on the lead lap here, and I think David Comstock might actually get a wave around here. So, hey, before we get this last green, let's get this last break out of the way, and we'll come back, get you to the finish here of this Sim500 Cup race from Bristol on the Captain eSports Network.
What a nice day to install my new mailbox.
Hi there, friend. I'm Dig Safely Man. My job is to ensure you call 811 before you dig.
Why do I need to do that?
Vital utilities like natural gas and electric run just beneath the Earth's surface. Damaging them can cause service interruption, environmental hazards, or personal injury.
I thought only contractors had to call before they dig, so homeowners do too.
Call 3 business days before you dig unless you have x-ray vision. Visit nc811.org to learn more.
All right, back we are coming to the green with 40, make that 38 laps to go. As Eric Arnold, Joseph Grzyalva stayed out under this caution. The field behind him on 4 tires. As we come to the green, Grzyalva spins him, and he's going to go 3 wide all of a sudden. Going into turn 1 is Fuller with a great run into the corner. Perfectly legal, too. He was not past him. As Fuller's going to go right to the lead, and this is where I'm thinking maybe they should have went 2 tires here. Oh, Calantoni into the wall. Grzyalva contact, more contact. Everybody okay?
Wow. This is just where you know, when you sit at this racetrack, the actual racetrack, if you watch, there's action from the front car to the back cars. The 04 is sideways over there. And that's what I talk about, right? We're watching on the screen, but there's action physically on every inch of the racetrack from first to last.
Ooh, Sigmund with a save, and then you mentioned Parker slides up in front of Arnold just now, shuts the door on him, and Arnold gave him a little boot there. And maybe one of those, I'm not too thrilled with that move, but Carl Levine's going to go by, and Arnold just going backwards as Fuller runs the fastest lap of the race just now. Well, and he one-ups at 14:48 just now.
Yeah, Fuller back out front. Again, he's the 11th different leader here tonight, as he's led on a couple different occasions. This is round 3 for him, and you have to like his chances at this point. He can control the race, and he seems to have the speed. And at this point, he's just going to check out if he can. If it stays green, try and gap the distances We know the other fast car was the 29 of Kevin King, who was one lap down, now back in the 9th position. He had to start end of longest line, Chris. So not only is he at the back of the stack for the lead lap cars, but he had to line up behind a bunch of, back markers and run his way. So if I'm Fuller, I do not want to see a yellow. I want to run green all the way to the end.
Yeah, I think you're Fuller, Doy Woods, Anthony Calantoni, the top three looking pretty good. Now, of course, I think selfishly those two would like to see the yellow, but I think they're perfectly okay with running second, third, and I'm sure Parker wants a caution because he wants to go out here and win this thing. Is Nelson Rivera on pit road, so unfortunately for him, not going to be the best of runs in that 22 car tonight.
Yeah, and there's moments on the racetrack, as we were saying, through the whole field. Patrick Colby got loose over there on the front straightaway, did a little dee-di-do, and got absolutely sideways. He was 90 degrees sliding backwards into the banking, got tagged on the front by Ron Hollifield, straightened out, grabbed the gear, and off he went. So no harm, no foul. But like we said, there's action on every inch of the racetrack. That was out in the back of the shot we showed a lap or two ago, and now running 23rd, Patrick Colby still under power and running underneath the 93, trying to get a position.
Watching Parker put the pressure on this 84 car. I see the car just continuously bottom out, which I'm starting to wonder, Kev, is that a tire mark that's down on the track there in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or is that just a car bottoming out, maybe marking up the track? So, I mean, watch these cars, they get up in the top groove until they get air pressure in them. It looks like the stop is actually down on the track a little bit.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a bump through these corners, and part of that has to do with the tunnels going underneath the racetrack, and it does change. That's why one end of the track, while they look absolutely exactly the same, they race differently, and it has to do with the texture, bumps, and character of the racetrack on different ends.
You watch Parker and Calantoni trying to get their cars up to speed. It looked like for a second Calantoni might get the run on Doy Woods, with Doy doing a good job protecting as Fuller with a 0.4 of a second lead. This is your best fight on the track. Pretty much everybody on the lead lap right now. That's why you really haven't seen the camera move off of them. There's one other battle. It's back at 21st. Let's jump to it. It's a couple lap cars here with Mons, Patrick Colby in this battle right here. Mike Montesi joining them too, but two cars that looked really good earlier, and the 28 got caught out on pit road, and unfortunately the 41 was involved in some accidents, and that's what's happened to their races here tonight. As definitely hate it for those guys.
This is just about to get interesting as the fast cars up front have a gaggle of cars right in front of them. The first one's going to be Jose Gonzalez, who's had a rather eventful evening as Justin Fuller goes downstairs to try and move around him. Now these two cars running nose to tail, it almost looks like there's a tow hook on the back of Tony's car, have to go low. And you wonder, when you're running the lead, sometimes you could signal the spotter driver, hey, I want the top line, can you move down? And other times you just don't say anything. You change your lane, and it changes the complexity of how the car drives. But right now, Justin Fuller is carving through these back markers.
As we come to 16 laps to go, a couple of shout outs real quickly I want to give. One, as usual, the 40 Racewear. If you're looking for apparel and shoes and gloves for your iRacing experience, especially what I see, you got the dirt race coming up here, the Knoxville Nationals on iRacing, and I believe the Nürburgring 24 is coming up. You might want to get some 40 gloves and shoes for that race. Check out 40racewear.com. And also my buddy Mark from MC Racing in Fort Wayne, of course, watching us as always as people come in and do some sim racing there on his rigs. If you happen to go through the area in the near future, stop by MC Racing there in downtown Fort Wayne. If you're in Eldora or to Lima Land or any of the racetracks in this area, there's plenty of asphalt and dirt tracks. I think matter of fact, the Winchester 400 is coming up here shortly. You can come on through Fort Wayne and swing on in and do some racing. So big shout out to Mark. 13 to go.
Fuller moved through pretty quickly. He did okay. And the Doy Woods 84 combo of Anthony Calantoni, they had side by side in front of him. They lost a little contact with Fuller as he's gapped it out. He's got about a quarter straightaway lead over second and third right now, and clear racetrack in front of him as the laps are ticking down quickly.
Down to 12 to go in the car that is absolutely driving, I want to say like a maniac, but he's not driving like a maniac. Is well, it's Kevin King. 5th position now. Remember, he started tail end of the longest line with the wave around. He is all the way up to 5th, and he's only 2.3 seconds back of Fuller. He just got close to Karlovaj there, wasn't able to get around it, but he has roared through the lap cars and now is joining this pack that has been fighting for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And this is going to get interesting here, I think, for 2nd position. Fuller might not want to look in the mirror because it is might become a battle here.
Yeah, I think right now with the number of laps, if it stays green, he's got enough of a cushion, especially with these faster cars right in front of Kevin King. He's going to have to run them down as we got a battle for that 3rd position. Karlovaj decided it's time to go. I can't ride back here. He moved down. He's underneath Anthony Calantoni. He's to your 2nd place car, trying to make the run up out of the corner. Turn 3 is the next conquest as he slides up and takes that position. Now let's see if he can go down and get Doy Woods and get a podium finish.
You wonder here how much Doy Woods might be holding up these guys, and that's where allowed the bottom line. Karlovaj going to clear with ease as he now moves up to P2, 2.2 seconds back of Justin Fuller, as Fuller working through lap traffic right now in the 51 car. Remember how earlier we talked about Chad Coleman?
There.
Yeah, Tal Coleman
King
had
is
a
there.
run. Yep. King right
And
here
they're,
behind him.
they're in his back
Oh,
across
King into the Calantoni.
Or is this going to be a caution?
Not yet. We're still green. He's
No.
rolling.
Oh, there's going to be some words, and that was just hard racing on King's part trying to get there, but maybe a little too much. He's going to find himself in 4th position right now.
4 laps to go, 2.1 seconds now.
Fuller has not been a fan of this race package combination. He says it many times, but for somebody who doesn't particularly like this car and the way that it drives, he certainly knows how to get the job done. And every once in a while, he just puts the combination together and puts a whooping on him. And here he is with just 2 laps to go, out in front by a commanding lead in the 51.
Yeah, 2 laps to go, and he's looking pretty good, and he's about to tie, well, his fellow racer there, Josh Parker, for 4th on the all-time Cup Series win list as he sees the white flag next time by. 2 to go, coming back around to the start-finish line, and here it is, white flag for Justin Fuller in what has been an absolute dominant effort, and it wasn't easy from the start. Started in the 24th position, has worked his way up through the field and up to the front, and on his way to victory lane here at Bristol in the night race as he scores his 14th series win as Fuller wins. Karlovaj 2nd, Doy Woods 3rd, and King going to work his way back to 4th. And what was a pretty entertaining race. Watching the 84.
Calantoni, he soldiered on there, was able to rescue that, come home in 7th, and I think he is looking
It
for
wouldn't be
somebody
Bristol
right
if
now. He's
you...
a little spicy sometimes.
Oh, okay. He sees King's on pit road.
Yeah,
You're
I guess
watching.
he decides. Rewind.
He's like, I'll just eat it here.
Yeah, unitstorage.com. Camry is going to burn them down here on the front straightaway at Bristol and get out, wave at the fans. And I love the pace lights on the crowd down there at the end of the racetrack. That's always a cool feature at this place in the night races.
Yeah,
That was a pretty exciting, pretty entertaining race. And the complexion of the race changed just about every single time we had a lead change. I mean, 11 different lead changes at this racetrack sometimes doesn't happen. And this race had a mix of 8 different cautions. I think it was 8. And from that, it shuffled the stack and changed the story all the way through as Fuller's going to do a reverse lap.
So Polish victory lap there for the driver of the 51 car. Of course, he could argue that he should have won the Iowa race before that little whoopsies that happened back in the summer race. But otherwise, Fuller 13th in points entering the race here tonight. As he parks it back at the start-finish line. He did go to victory lane, though, at the Rock back in March of this season. So getting a win at the Rock and then going to grab the sword here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at the finishing order here tonight, virtually on iRacing. As a fun show it was. We had our cautions, but you know what? Again, It's Bristol. You expect to have cautions at a track like this and actually be okay with it. As Fuller wins by 2.1 seconds over Jason Karlovage, Doy Woods holds on to the third position. Great job by Doy getting a pretty solid finish there. Kevin King fourth and Mike Kelly fifth. Josh Parker sixth. Anthony Calantoni still gets a top 10, even though he got kind of rooted there a little bit. Eric Arnold eighth. Kevin Stone ninth. Chad Coleman first car lap down in 10th. As David Comstock 11th. Joseph Grajala 12th. Tyler Dalton 13th. Mike Montesi 14th. And Ron Holyfield with a top 15 finish. 16th goes to the Scott Simley car, of course, after trying that strategy and losing a couple laps. Randy Oakham 17th, Wesley Donaldson 18th, Doug Sigmund 19th, and Brian Wortman 20th. Patrick Colby 21st, Justin Mons 22nd, Kevin Brown 23rd, 24th Jose Gonzalez, Mark Schrader 25th, Charles Van Schaik 26th, Bobby Wetzel 27th, Nelson Rivera 28th, Robert Friery 29th, Joey Jatina 30th, Livingston Campbell, Medina, Jorgensen all having issues in tonight's race, and Ryan Murphy, well, he might have ended up in Bristol, Connecticut by accident or something. I got nothing. Unfortunately, didn't make the start.
He was at Michael Waltrip's tap
Brewing.
room.
Good call. Good call on that. I like it.
Watching the race.
I like that. Was a good call on that. As Doy Woods gets himself a top 3, I believe this might be his first podium this season here. Or as the guy we know as 28 Savage in Discord. That's, I think, a wordplay off of 21 Savage, the rapper. As Doy joins us here tonight. Doy, a great race here for you, of course, playing that strategy in the end and being able to hold on in that 00 car to get a top 3 finish here.
Yeah, the car was pretty good. I mean, the guys gave me an awesome hot ride tonight. It was as fast as 5G Xfinity Internet. And, I think that second and the last run, I believe I had something for Fuller, just laid a set of tires. We went up on air pressure a little bit, and I got a little tight there, and then I had to burn them down to keep from holding off Calantoni, and I think I wore out my brakes. My brakes were starting to give out there at the end. We was driving the struggle bus, but finished third, good run. Know what to bring back here next time to try to get that W.
Question I have here is, are you going to get the $2,500 that apparently Xfinity pays for the plug like that?
That would be nice. I have my people talk to their people, that's for sure.
Talk about the race itself, the racing out there. Obviously, it looked like in practice everybody was running the bottom side, but tonight you saw both grooves kind of working a little bit.
Yeah, it went in. It came and go. It came and went. When you would feel it, it's like, oh yeah, this is it. You'd feel the groove, and guys were off the groove. Man, you'd just go to the back. You had to really be in the groove, run high or low. It was tough, but you had to have a fast, hot rod, and that we did tonight. And of course, the right brake package too. I think we're a little off on there. If we had what some of the other catfishes had tonight, I believe I'd have lapped the field. But that's nor here or there.
Hey, I like the positivity there, man. Well, great job tonight. Congratulations, and throw some shout-outs out.
Yeah, all the guys back at the shop, Chad, Pedro, all the guys, even J.D. Larrett, he's coming back, and y'all best watch out. He's pretty good. And everybody, that makes this happen, and when it's good, and when it's great, Doy wins.
That sounds like some kind of a quote right there, maybe like a liner or something for Doy Woods. When races are great, they're great. When they're awesome or whatever, Doy wins. I like that. It's a good tagline for Doy.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the guys gave it to me. I didn't make it up. I wish I would have, but, I kind of like it.
Oh, that works out, my man. I'm still trying to adjust, by the way, to the 00 on a Haviland car.
Yeah, I know what, I can deal with it because Dan McCowett used to drive the 0 and 00.
Good call.
And, yeah, man, and that was my uncle, really. That was my dad's best friend, and everybody knows Delma. He might not won a race, but he never lost a party.
That was his quote right there. Savannah, Georgia's own Delma Coward. Appreciate it, Doy. Congratulations on the top 3.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. As Doy finishes third, man, if you've not heard of Delma Coward, I suggest you go read about him. The man is phenomenal. He never won a race. I think he had one top 10 ever. I think one top 10 ever in Cup. And but like Doy said, he might have never won a race, but he surely knew how to party when it was all over with. So Justin Fuller finished, or I should say Doy Woods finishing into third position. Jason Karlovage, another top 5 finish here. Good run for the 60 car, and Kevin has caught up with him.
Yeah, I just turned my head and look over with a smirk and look at you, Jason. How about a second place finish at Bristol? Did you anticipate that coming out of here tonight?
Oh man, definitely not. The Cup car has been a struggle of mine, trying to get used to the way that it drives, and yeah, I wasn't expecting much. Just was looking to have some fun tonight, and qualified decent in the top 10, and was just hoping to stay up there. And just want to apologize to Mark. Early on, lap 4 or so, I got into the back of him. I think that pretty much ended his night. But aside from that, it was a really clean race. Was fortunate to dodge all the wrecks that happened in front of us and behind us. So yeah, just really happy with second.
Yeah, going in the right direction. You got the 5 top 10s in the last 8 races. The first 2 are right off, but tell me something. 10 laps ago, it almost looks like you leaned over and poured some special sauce in the gas tank, man. You lit it up and went. I thought you might get a chance to run Justin Fuller down. What happened? How did you find that 5th gear?
Well, I mean, fortunately, his cars have 5th gear, right? So I was able to grab it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could have had anything for Fuller. Even if I caught him, it would have been really hard to pass on the bottom. But yeah, I think I was saving my tires a little bit more than the cars in front. Once they got a little bit ahead, I was just trying to ride. And then Kevin started catching us. We were battling back there, and you know, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden it was this clean track in front of me and behind me, and I can just kind of get into a groove and run some clean laps.
This track is a mystery to some drivers, and I have to ask you, looking back at the 200 laps you ran, any surprises, anything that you struggled with tonight? How was the race for you, you know, when you play it back in your brain?
I mean, I think it went a lot better than I was expecting it going into the night, for sure. You know, you always expect carnage and torn up race cars when you come to Bristol, so the fact that, you know, our car's pretty much clean for the most part, you know, just things went our way, took tires at the right time to get track position, and really never lost the track position, and that was a, you know, really important key there to have you know, track position be up towards the front at least at the end.
Yeah, it looked like the high line was dominant tonight. That's right.
Yeah, top line was nice. I think it was, you know, it was easy to heat the tires up, especially the right front. I was struggling with, you know, being tight pretty much the whole night. So the top helped a little bit to keep momentum up and not hurt the right front as much. I couldn't really run the bottom anytime I went down low. Just really plowed tight and almost got into people on the outside a couple times tonight, especially at the end when we were pushing it. So yeah, top side was really nice. Car felt good. I think I had the brake bias right, where it was, you know, I was able to get it to turn with the brake, and I think that really helped.
You have Speedway Collective on the side of the car. Tell us what that's about.
Yeah, it's a fantasy NASCAR website. So you can go to speedwaycollective.com and, you know, sign up. Even though the season's already almost over, you can still sign up and enter a lineup for wherever they're at next week. I think Kansas. Yep. So yeah, just something that started up and you know, years back, and we just kind of been running with it since.
Well, you're going in the right direction, and you got to be really happy to come out of such a challenging racetrack with a top 3 finish. Second place tonight, and that right there is bragging rights for taking you into next week. Congratulations on that. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to you guys, Chris, Kevin, for putting on the broadcast and, you know, being able to let us go back and watch this show. You know, shout out to Justin for, you know, getting it done tonight, getting the win. He did a great job at getting through traffic there and, you know, keeping the lead there. Yeah, just appreciate my buddy Tyler. He puts a lot of work into Speedway Collective and updating it every week. And yeah, just everyone at Sim500 for putting this league on and giving us something to do, you know, a few nights a week.
There you go, Jason Karlovac. He's your second place driver tonight. He's going to go out of here with a smile, and we're going to look to the guy who's really happy. Chris has caught up with our winner tonight, Justin Fuller.
Yeah, Justin Fuller, of course, going to victory lane here this evening as he scores his second win here of the season. Just actually update the points really quickly on my end, and I'll show those to you here in just a moment. Let's get Justin up here as he celebrates another win here on Bristol Motor Speedway. You could argue that he's one of the best, if not the best, short track racer in all the series here, but Obviously, Justin tonight, a dominant effort, and it wasn't easy from the start, a bad qualifying effort, and you and Nelson looked like kind of tag teamed up through the field, but then you finally took off and did your thing with strategy, and it paid off for you tonight and get another win.
Yeah, another win. Yeah, it's my second win on the season, so that was nice. It only took 25 races
Right.
to have another repeat winner, right? So I should have had another couple wins this season. I kind of threw them away. So Bristol comes to mind in the spring. I dominated that
Right.
race too. Should have won that one. So it's nice to get a redemption win. Love this track. It's one of the few tracks that I feel very confident with this car at, and I think it shows. So I kind of knew coming into this that I would have a shot to at least have a good run. But yeah, I really boned qualifying. I spun out on my second lap, so just had to be patient coming through the field, and it was kind of easy, honestly. It was pretty easy to pass, especially early in the run, so I was able to make my way out through there pretty quickly.
How tough is it to balance out that tire wear? Because you saw, like, obviously how cars, especially later in the race, kind of fell off with tire wear, especially those who decided to try to run 130 laps on a set of tires. But obviously, the balance between that speed, but then obviously trying to keep the wheels under you too.
Yeah, it's really tough here because you would think that running the bottom would save the tires like
Right.
it does most tracks, but really the top kind of does, because I don't know if it's just this car or what, but I've found that you get better tire wear up top. You just kind of got to work the tires in on the bottom for a little while, and then you can really run the top. So it is really tough to kind of balance speed. Because you kind of want to go, right? You don't want to lose track position, because it does become tough to pass later in the run. So it is a balancing act, trying to figure out how to make it work.
And obviously being able to use the pit strategy and stuff to go to victory lane. And I thought back, and I brought this up to Kevin back at the beginning of the season. Obviously, you had this Bristol race in the books when things unfortunately happened there. Of course, I'm sorry, I bring up Iowa, and it just seems like the short tracks this season. You've had multiple chances to go to victory lane, and I know tonight's got to feel pretty good and almost like a revenge for all those.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't the best car there. I was on the better end of the strategy there.
Right.
But the only races that I really feel like I was the best car on the night would be tonight, Bristol in the spring, and then Rockingham. So aside from that, those have been the only races I really feel like I've been the best. Otherwise, we continue to all race for second. So, but it was a good run. I think we only had 7 yellows tonight. That's pretty impressive for 200 laps at Bristol. So, really can't ask for much more than that. The pit strategy was pretty easy though. We had that long run when a lot of those guys stayed out, and we were able to lap up to like I think 9th. And that kind of made the pit strategy pretty simple from that point forward.
Yeah, it's the 4th race now out of the 13 ran at Bristol that you guys have had single-digit cautions. So definitely a great effort on your end, and congratulations. Send some shout-outs we relate to.
Oh yeah, thanks to you guys putting on the broadcast. Thanks to Sim500 on the Emmons what they do. Thanks to NC811 for sponsoring the series. Thanks to everybody that watched. Thanks to Trey Hudson for always keeping me looking good out here on the racetrack with my units, portable, moving and portable storage units. Thanks to all my teammates at Aftermath Motorsports. And yeah, just looking forward to the next one. I think we only got one more race, then we get into the playoffs. So maybe we can get another win next week. I doubt it. I'm not very good at Kansas, so speedways have kind of been really bad for me on this with this car. So we'll just try and see if we can get ourselves some good points next week and keep this momentum rolling into the playoffs and see what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great job here tonight as we let Justin go. I've been kind of trying to stall here, and it's not been working too well here. I'm trying to pull up some of the short tracks that basically have been ran here in Sim500's history. And let's see, I'm looking down here for your name, Justin Fuller. 121st start you've made here tonight, this season, or overall, I should say, in Sim500 on short tracks. And you have actually now tied for the most short track wins in the series history at 30.
Yeah, I'm sure that number should be a lot higher than what it is too. So we've had a lot of unfortunate incidents. Bring up Bristol in the spring. There's one kind of got on the bad side of strategy on that one and got wrecked. So it's unfortunate, but 30 wins, I'll take it. I think this is only like my 12th or 13th Cup win at Sim500. So it's just it's a nice to get a win and carry this momentum into next week, hopefully.
There you go, bud. Nice job tonight.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too. Justin Fuller, the winner here tonight, and that one kind of got me off guard when I saw that, Kev. I mean, I literally just pulled the stat up, and I'm like, all right, how many wins does he have overall on short tracks? and he's actually tied with Daniel Falkingham with 30. And next person up is 14 with Brian Macklin, Trey Eitzen. So, I mean, the man he's won a fourth of his career starts on short tracks in this series. Now, when I bring up short tracks, and I'm using Sim Racer Hub for all these stats, by the way. So, the tracks that they show as short tracks on here, give or take, Bristol, Five Flags, Iowa, Irwindale, Langley, Lanier, Lucas Oil Raceway, Indianapolis Raceway Park, Martinsville, Myrtle Beach, Nashville's Fairgrounds, New Smyrna, North Wilkesboro, Oxford Plains, Phoenix, Richmond, South Boston, Southern National, Stafford, the Bullring, Thompson, and USA. So you could argue one of those tracks, and that being Phoenix, maybe not so much of a short track, but the rest of them, I mean, the man's won a third or a fourth of his career starts in this league period on short track, so he's pretty good on it.
Yeah, if you pick a single label for certain drivers, I'll tell you, he's a Charger. And Chargers, they do great on short tracks. You got to root and gouge, and you can't ride at a short track. You really need to put the pedal to the metal and be assertive, and that fits Justin's style. He said, you know, to the opposite, when you get to super speedways, it's not his forte. That's just match racing. It's a different thing. So certain drivers, it fits their profile, and he showed tonight. He was on the mark. We saw early he came to the front of the field, and then each time he moved out of the rotation, he came back in. He was leading by lap number 69. He came back at 132 and then took command of the race at 162 to bring it home here tonight as the victor, and certainly one of the top echelon short track drivers in the series.
So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up here next week, the final race of the regular season at Kansas Speedway, the 26th race. And as I bring up the point standings, I talked about it a little bit before the race with the way the drops work. Basically, it's not one of those I can tell you from this guy finishing here and this guy here that this is how many points he lost or gained, because if it's one of their worst four finishes, then basically it's wiped off the board. So, saying that, you look down here at the 20th position right now, Robert Friery, a 3-point lead over Randy Yoakum. Brian Wortman is only 8 points back in the 22nd position. So, you're looking at potentially 3 guys, and depending on if, like, Kevin Brown or Eric Arnold or any of those guys show up here, could come into play here when it's all over with for the playoffs. Now, the one thing we will also have to watch is we look up here at the races counted. You look at Richard Beasley, has only made 20 starts. That name is now off the list. He is no longer eligible for the playoffs. So technically that moves the bubble to Randy Yoakum. So now it becomes Yoakum, Friery, and Brian Wortman racing for 2 spots. Amongst
yeah,
those
they all know it.
Yeah.
They're all watching the counters as they go through.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting how this all works out with the points next week. Now, you notice I only did 27 cars. That is because pretty much everyone 28th and lower are ineligible from the points because of starts. So basically these are your 26 guys, we'll call it, out of 27 that are eligible still for the playoffs due to the rules and stuff. So King still with a 148-point lead over Mike Kelly. So next week, Kansas should be interesting. If you remember that race in the spring, that's the one where Kevin got called for a restart violation towards the end of the race, and unfortunately was stripped of his win on a restart. So
he wants that one back for sure.
I'm sure he does. So Kansas should be an interesting one coming up next week at 8:15 Eastern, or 8:15 Eastern time. We will have that. We'll take a night off tomorrow night, believe it or not, here, and then Wednesday night we're back at it in a league race. I don't remember where we're at. So, Nashville, matter of fact, is where we're going to be. So, should be a lot of fun. But, Kev, man, appreciate it as always. Obviously, final thoughts before we take off from the Coliseum.
Yeah, one more race to settle all that out, and then we're going to turn to the championship. Talladega on October 7th is really kind of the last wild card race. After that, these drivers, if they want to wrestle away this championship from Kevin King, have to work on their racecraft, because Charlotte, Las Vegas, Richmond, these are all born and bred meat and potato NASCAR tracks, and these drivers are going to have to find speed in order to keep with Kevin through the run all the way to Iowa and Homestead, the last 2 races of the season out there in December.
There you go, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. we're looking forward to it. Kansas should be a great one, especially those guys right there in the bubble. And can't wait to see how this all works out. But Kevin, man, appreciate it as always, buddy. Be safe, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Sounds good. As we take off here from the Bristol Motor Speedway and head out, remember, this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See you.
This copyrighted broadcast may not be reproduced, reused, or retransmitted in any form without the authorized written consent of Captain eSports Network. Captain would like to thank all of his loyal fans for your continued support, and he hopes you enjoyed today's broadcast.
The following is a special presentation. From the Captain eSports Network.